If you've ever struggled with the words boring or bored, or perhaps interesting and interested, stay tuned. We'll discuss when to use boring or bored in business English grammar. Greetings, colleagues. My name is Timothy Barrett, and this is the For Business English Rundown. This is the show for people all over the world who want to improve their professional communication skills in English. Today we're going to talk about boring or bored. Which is it? When do we use each word? Now, obviously these words are very related and they're very similar, but they're not exactly the same. And if you use the wrong word, it's going to change the meaning dramatically. If I'm talking about a person or a movie, and I say this person, if I say Jane is boring, or I say Jane is bored, that's very different. If I say Jane is bored, I mean I'm looking at Jane from her perspective, and she is bored. She has nothing to do. She's not excited about anything. There's nothing going on. There's nothing for her to do, or she's not enjoying whatever she's doing. She's bored. If I say Jane is boring, then I'm probably looking at more from my perspective. When I spend time with Jane, I am bored. There's nothing exciting about Jane. Jane is boring to hang out with, to spend time with. Maybe I don't want to go to the movies or go to dinner with Jane because she is boring. So although those words are similar, very different. We have almost the same thing with interested and interesting. If I say Jane is interesting, then I mean I find her interesting, that I enjoy spending time with her because I don't get bored. She is interesting. Interesting is almost the opposite of being boring or being bored. But if I say Jane is interested, then again, I'm looking from her perspective. She is interested. Maybe this is something that she wants to do. Oh, we're going to the movies on Friday night. Jane is interested. She is interested in going with us. That is something that she would be interested in doing or talking about or thinking about. If you say, let's go to the movies on Friday night, and I say Jane is interesting, it doesn't really fit. Like, well, okay, if she's interesting, maybe we want to invite her to go with us. But, is she interested in going with us? Is she interested in hanging out with us, or is she interested in the movie? That sort of thing. But whether she's interesting isn't the same thing as interested. Oh, there's a new job vacancy at Acme Limited. I'm interested. I'm interested in it. I want to learn more about it. Maybe I want to apply. Maybe I want to get it. Or maybe I just want more information. But I'm interested in it. I want to gather more information. If I say I am interesting, that doesn't make sense with the job posting. But I could say the job posting is interesting. Oh, there's a new job posting at Acme Limited, and it is interesting. Oh, it's fascinating. There's something interesting, unusual, or something that I find attractive, something I like about it. Oh, it has really good salary. It has really good benefits there. The post itself is very challenging. Maybe it's the type of work I want to get into, I want to do, so I find that vacancy interesting. Now, the vacancy, the posting, could never be interested. I mean, maybe the company is interested in you. The company may be interested in hiring me, but the post or the vacancy is not interested. It's an inanimate object, right? Or even an abstract object. Whereas I could be interested in that vacancy. That vacancy is interesting to me. I am interested in that vacancy. Now, I've gone through a couple of different example scenarios where we can use these words, but let's look at a few more. I'll bring up some slides and we'll go through them. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of see them in black and white so you can understand how we might use these words. Let's go through some sentences now. All right, let's get started. Let's look at some boring or bored examples. Boring. This play is boring. Frank is boring. Dinner with Frank is boring. Frank's job is boring. Or we could also say Frank finds his job boring. That game is boring. Now, for all of these, we're talking about generally what we think of this or what Frank thinks of it. Frank finds his job as boring. But other than that, it's what we think about this thing. The play is boring, in my opinion, or maybe everybody's opinion. Frank is boring. That's what I think. That's my thought. Maybe Frank disagrees, probably, but I find Frank boring. Frank is boring. Dinner with Frank is boring. That's my belief. This is my impression of Dinner with Frank. Now let's flip it around to go to bored. At the play, I was bored. Frank is bored. Now, I'm not saying Frank is a boring person. I'm saying right now, Frank is bored. We're looking at how he is feeling. At dinner, Frank was bored. So instead of right now, we're talking about at dinner, Frank was bored in the past. Frank is bored with his job. I am bored with that game. Now let's jump almost to the opposite, interesting. This play is interesting. I find this play interesting. Not boring, but interesting. Liz is interesting. In other words, I find Liz interesting. To me, Liz is interesting. Dinner with Liz is interesting. Liz's job is interesting. Or Liz finds her job interesting. That game is interesting. And interested. Liz is interested in this play. Liz is interested, or Liz is interested in blank. Liz is interested in going to dinner with us. Liz is interested in going to that show. Liz is interested in that. Liz is interested in that job vacancy. Liz is interested in dinner with us. Liz is interested in her job. I am interested in Liz's job. Liz is interested in that game. All right, any questions about these examples? If so, drop them in the comments below. Now we've looked at several examples. Now it is your turn. It's time to complete your own exercise regarding boring or bored. I want you to write 2 sentences, one using the word boring, one using the word bored. I hope you find this exercise interesting. So write your 2 sentences and drop them in the comments for this video. Don't be lazy, do your homework. All right, it's time to conquer that like button and make it ours. Consider watching some of our other videos. If you've enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones just as much, maybe even more. Work hard today and enjoy tomorrow.